Hey everyone, I'm Laura Desiree. Make sure that you follow me on my OnlyFans at Laura Desiree VIP. And why not hit me up on social media at Laura X Desiree. We'll see you on Instagram and Twitter. Me in high school, and it took a lot longer for that to
Right,
blossom. So there was so much commentary about where's your ass? Where are your tits? The stuff that just makes you feel awful about existing. That
right.
was I remember a lot of that.
Were you popular with the boys?
I ended up dating a number of guys that didn't go to my high school. So I remember spending a lot of time at a record store at the shopping mall called HMV, His Master's Voice. And anyone from Canada knows that record store. And I had a really beautiful relationship with one of the shop boys from the record store, and he was older, and it was very exciting. So yeah, I liked an outcast. I liked a little bit of danger and a lot of mystery.
Did you and your twin ever swap out, or maybe she went on a date with one of your boyfriends and not tell anybody?
I get asked this so often being a twin. We never played any quick, fast ones where one of us takes the other one's place. There was another set of male twins that we went to school with. Their names were Chris and Christopher. How uncreative could that be? We never ended up getting together with Chris and Christopher, but everyone was like, oh, you guys are twins. They're twins. This needs to happen.
Did you ever get approached to model or anything at that point because you were that tall?
Yeah, I remember being approached by a couple different agencies at different points in my life. So I took a chance at 16 with an agent in Toronto. And what a horrible experience. I mean, you're just picked apart. You're told that everything about the body you're living within could be better. So that really was a challenge for me. I remember the agent I was working with, she looked me dead in the face and said, "Let's do less McDonald's." And I thought, I don't eat McDonald's. Like I don't actually even eat McDonald's. It's
Right.
not something I do in my day to day. And so that, it's a psychological warfare for a young
Right.
person. And it takes a strong constitution to make it out the other end of that. I decided it wasn't for me, but I did get some really gorgeous photos.
We're talking about your husband cover in Centerfold. Do you remember the first time you saw an adult magazine, adult anything?
I remember the first time I saw pornographic content.
Right.
It was on one of those adult channels that you have to watch through the squibbly lines on the TV in the middle of the night. And the program was called Memoirs of a Madam, and it
Right.
was two French maids that were using glass icicle toys on each other. And I mean, I'd never seen anything as beautiful as those
Right.
glass icicle dildos. And I only got flashes of it through the static on the TV, but that to me was just burned into my brain. And then, of course, I remember finding my dad's rental DVD stash and VHS stash and being like, okay, wow, there's a whole world of this out there.
When you saw any of that material, thought ever crossed your mind that I could do that?
Not looking at, say, the videos of it never got me excited thinking I was going to do anything like that with my life, but I did have grand respect for them. And I didn't look at it as scary. I was fascinated with it. And then, of course, there was all of those late night dating phone lines where you could do the six calls with, you know, whatever night flirt or whatever those
Right.
lines
Right.
were called. And I remember just being spellbound by the women rolling around on the beach or the women rolling around in the
Right.
beds. And I thought, wow, this really has a power over me. So I was very aware of the power of that.
I'm guessing you graduate high school. Do you go to college?
I went to film school in New York City, and the New York Film Academy for producing for film and television. I was 18 years old. Everyone else there was on their second or third career. No one knew how old I was, and I intended to keep it that way. I tried to fit in and be like, yeah, I've been around the block. Like, really, I
Right.
had just gotten out of high school, and I was living in an apartment all the way where Queens and Brooklyn meet, which is like, it was very underdeveloped in 2006, 2007. And, and so I remember trying to fool everyone that I was older, but like I was using a fake ID to go for drinks with the rest of my classmates. And, you know, no one ever asked to look at it, thankfully, but like that was fake as hell.
Is that how you got into doing the VIP stuff and everything in the clubs when you were doing that, or did that come up another way?
So I left my film program and ended up spending too many years falling in love with the rock and roll musicians in the Lower East Side. And my God, I forgot all about my big film desires in life. And I ended
Right.
up, you know, running around with a band for a couple of years. And I got back to New York, took up a personal assisting job for a woman in fashion. She worked for a big fashion conglomerate in Korea, and I will never be a personal assistant ever again. That is an incredibly difficult job. And because I was 24 hours on call for this woman, my life was dictated to me by her so intensely. I said, I need some kind of an outlet. I need some kind of access to my wild side, my authenticity.
Right.
So in the evenings, I would go dance. And that was how I tried to keep a balance in my life as someone's personal assistant. I would just put the cell phone away and go dancing, and eventually burlesque, and eventually other kinds of sexy performance art, and that balanced me. And then I just went full throttle with it.
You know what feature dancers are when adult stars go out and dance?
Yeah.
I did 13 years on the road as an assistant, so I'm sure you and I could talk stories.
Ooh, ooh,
Go on.
ooh! It's a
Anyway,
wild job.
that's the fun part to me, though. But you remember
Yeah.
when you went to the New York School of Burlesque? What was that like?
The New York School of Burlesque. I love that it exists. It's a wonderful, almost 20-year-old institution run by this legacy stripper and burlesque star named Jo Boobs Weldon. She is incredible. It's an intensive program. It was a few months, I remember, of attending every possible kind of flirtatious stage performing. I mean, classes on lap dancing, classes on feather fan dancing, classes on feather boa manipulation, classes on how to remove a shoe gracefully, classes on tassel twirling. We covered everything, and it really equipped me with a sense of myself that, you know, my body in its entirety is drool worthy and is
Right?
capable of conjuring excitement. We so often just think tits and ass. Oh my God, are my tits good enough? Is my ass good enough? And it's like, no, no, no. Wait till you lift your arm and reveal the underside of your tricep. Like that can be really sexy too. And so burlesque granted me that confidence and that education.
Did you go from go-go dancing to burlesque?
That's right. Yeah, I went from go-go dancing and realized, my God, it's fun up here. It is so great having all of the eyes on me. Wow, they're watching it. Is that drool coming out of their mouth? I love the money. It was so fun. And I said, I want to learn how to make this even more of a spotlight moment and not just be an ambient dancer in the background of a club or a bar. I want everyone to have to shut up and watch me. So I said, burlesque, let's go.
But you never stripped. Like, did you in a local bar or anything?
it's funny because, you know, once I started getting some fame, quote unquote, as a naked news reporter, and people knew that I did burlesque, because I kept that going, and I still sometimes I'll still dabble in it because I love it so much, and I
Right.
spent so much on costumes. A couple of strip clubs did reach out to me in Toronto, and they were like, "Would you be interested in coming in and feature dancing?" And I was like, sure, why not? I mean, it's burlesque, but you at some point take the tassels off, you know? It
Right.
was phenomenal. I loved it. So I did a little bit of it, but never a career stripper.
Have you heard of a club in Toronto called the House of Lancaster?
Of course, it's famous. The House of
No,
Lancaster.
I,
Come
I worked
on.
there. I worked there a few times. I shouldn't say worked there. I came in with features, and the thing
Yeah.
that amazed me was the local girls had these insanely fabulous shows, and that place, the adult performers seemed to be like third or fourth on the bill, and
Yeah.
there were all these like crazy. Is this
Yeah.
still House of Lancaster?
House of Lancaster, I mean, the Toronto clubs are they're really different than clubs you find anywhere else. House of Lancaster is a great example of like the personality of the Toronto strip club scene, but
Yeah.
there's Fillmore's, which is a club that's right in the center of downtown, and that thing has been going for ages. And Fillmore's, I mean, on their marquee, it says like, $2 lap dances today because we heard you were feeling bad. Like really tongue-in-cheek things that are absolutely hilarious to drive by. And they heavily feature very alternative, tattooed, insanely creative stage shows. And so I think that a lot of Toronto likes to kind of celebrate that side of themselves when it comes to how we express ourselves in the sensual realm.
But correct me if I'm wrong, though, Canada in general seems about be a lot more accepting of dancers because you have some insanely pretty women in Canada dancing.
Yeah, I mean, Canada it's got its own battles with, conservatism and
Right.
censorship, and we are losing some of the clubs. But Toronto does have a really beautiful liberal, I don't even want to call them a liberal army, but they were known as a very liberal country. And so there is more of an embrace, I would say, of strip club culture than in many parts of, say, America.
At some point, you moved back home and became the creative director of Candyland. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yes,
What is
correct.
Candyland and what is?
Oh goodness, Candyland was a nightclub, an experimental nightclub in Toronto. It doesn't exist anymore, but after my years in New York City, go-go dancing, burlesque, insanity, nightlife programming, hosting events, I came back to Toronto and ended up doing more burlesque there. But I was approached by this nightclub that wanted to be the Canadian version of a very famous club that exists in New York and London called The Box. And The Box is just, I'm going to say infamous. Fuck it. It's infamous
Right.
because the entertainment there is really anything goes. I mean, some of it is illusion. So when you see a performer shit on a piece of pizza and eat the slice of pizza, I'm not going to break illusions. I'm just going to say these are the kinds of things that have happened. But if you look up The Box, it's most famous for a performer named Rose Wood vomiting in the lap of Susan Sarandon, and she loved it. It's very edgy, avant-garde, extremely prideful in all of its freak factor content.
Right.
And so I loved the 2.5 years that I programmed for Candyland because it was like our very own Saturday Night Live. Every single week, myself and my performers would get together, and we were young, so we were definitely taking all kinds of fabulous drugs at the time, and we would come up with the most insane ideas to stage different circus acts that involved, Cirque du Soleil styled silks in the air, and really, really out there sex shows that didn't exist anywhere else in the city. And, we had a little red light that was behind the bar that if that red light went on, it meant, hey, everyone get the fuck off the stage. We
Right.
might be visited
Right.
by
Right.
people who don't want it. So, I mean, that to me was just such an incredible time in my life because every week we were pressed to create new fantasies, each that could have been their own porno, their own, insane movie moment. Like we did very challenging productions that I don't know how we pulled them off. I really don't know how the fuck we did that, but we did.
Was there anything for you personally that was like, okay, this is too far left or too far right or just too far?
Oh, I did a Pope act where I was the Pope, and I had a chalice full of tequila, and I was making these very age appropriate but looked very young boys suck up the tequila off my fingertips, and I had fun putting them underneath my cloak and my robe. And it angered a lot of people. There were people that were so upset by that act, and they told me, they said, right after it happened, how dare you have done that? But I'm not I'm not a religious person. I think that
Right.
there's a wonderful opportunity to just let go of some of the rigidity around it,
Right.
and yeah, it was a little bit of an activism moment. I mean, I'm not trying to deny some of the truths in Catholicism, especially. So yeah, that was a fun one, but I did everything from like shaving my head on stage. The reason I have short hair is because at Candyland I had longer hair, and they asked me to close the show that night because one of our performers backed out and I had no other act. And I said, "Get me some clippers." And so to Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, right when that
Yeah.
guitar solo hits, I buzzed my head down to nothing.
Are there videos or any of that stuff? You ever look at that stuff and wonder, like, wow, this is really like I did that?
Yeah, definitely. I've got phone pictures.
Right.
We did maybe a couple videos in the club, but the idea was that phones were not out and were not permitted. And
Right. Right.
so, you know, we had a balcony that overlooked the interior of the nightclub. And just to, express to you how absolutely insane this place was, we had one rigging point in the ceiling that was, a what do you call it when you got the wheel and the thing and it goes back and forth, and it was a rigging point to go up
Right.
and
Right.
down. Yeah, and I used to put on a rock climbing harness and climb over the handrail of the second story and just swing until I met the middle, and then have a microphone in my hand, and we'd start the show, and I'd sing, and I'd be lowered and raised and lowered and raised. It was extremely risk taking. Like,
How do you make the transition then to like naked news and all that? Does someone discover you?
Naked News reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, we were told that you do burlesque." They had no idea about Candyland. They were just like, "We
Yeah.
heard you do burlesque. It would be really cool if you came in and taught the other anchors burlesque." And so they were just going to do a one-off segment where I was instructing the other cast members of the show how to sexily take off their clothes. And while I was at the studio that day shooting that, they said, "Well, do you want to read the teleprompter?" And I crushed that shit. So they offered me a job.
And that was how long ago? 2 years ago,
That
I think.
was that was 6.5, 7 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
And
it was.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. No, are you on any of the platforms? My fans, your fans, OnlyFans, and somebody else's fans at this point?
Yeah, I'm on OnlyFans. I'm on another website called Tempted, but I would definitely recommend checking out my OnlyFans. It's at Laura Desiree VIP, and I have so much fun there. I love really inventive, weird ways to spend time with my followers. Sometimes we do like naked tarot readings. Sometimes we do nude film reviews. I do dildo karaoke. Sometimes I do pussy guitar solos. Like it's insanity. It's such a grab bag of weird, but I implore all of you to come explore it.
You do custom videos and all that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cra-
I like the
cra-
weird requests. Bring them on.
Craziest request you got for a custom?
A lot of they provide the script. A lot of the times I've had they provide the script, and it's the script that can get really interesting. I mean, a lot of extremely articulate expectations of small penis humiliation, like the kinds of verbiage that I go, "Wow, you know this so well. You have come up with the script for me." Sometimes I'll like
Yeah.
put in my own flourish of it, and they're like, "It was great until you started freestyling. I just wanted you to stay on the script." I'm like, "Really? But I'm so good at this."
Are you on social media?
I'm on social media as well. You can find me on all the platforms at Laura Desiree. Laura X Desiree. Oops.
Like, for you, is there a difference almost between your fan base on Instagram versus Twitter?
I've noticed that my fan base on Instagram, I mean, I keep it very open to everybody. I've got like family there. I've got friends that I've known for decades there. Twitter is a lot more of the thirsty perverts that are waiting for the nude content, and I love you guys. Like, I love you guys. And obviously that's why we're on Twitter, right? Because there isn't necessarily any hard ruled censorship around
No.
me posting a picture of my boobs.
How much different are you than the people see on camera? How much of this is an act?
This is me. I get asked that all the time. How much of this is a put on? And what's it like? My favorite fucking question that I've been asked a couple of times by men looking to date me is, I want to meet the real you. I can't wait to meet the real you when all of this goes away and I just get to be with you. And I said to them, well, baby, like, it's not, that's it. This is it. I was raised on Mae West descending a staircase. I was raised on Gloria Swanson and
Yeah,
Rita Hayworth flipping her hair around, Sharon Stone uncrossing her legs. I was
yeah.
raised with such a knowledge of sexual prowess that unfortunately, it's informed everything about who I am today. And I say fortunately, fuck it. This is me. This is me. It does have volume settings. Sometimes I get a little quieter. Sometimes I'm really tired and I'm like, let me stay in bed. Sometimes I'm really cuddly and I'm like, I just really need to be held right now. And I can be a little wimpy about it, like, oh, I
Mhm.
can't do anything until I've been held for an hour. Like, I don't hide it. I want to just let it out.
Well, you kind of just touched on it, but for guy, girl, anyone to have a chance in hell with you, tall, short, fat, skinny, like, do you have a look?
I don't have a look at all. If I'm out with a shorter guy, I start thinking of all those pictures of those rock stars leaving Studio 54 with the models, and I go, this
Yeah,
is hot. You spicy little package, aren't you? You don't need to be skinny. You don't need to be buff. You don't need to be a man or a woman. You don't need to. For me, it's like, I want us to have good chat. And I know that's so basic. Everyone says that, but I mean it. I need to laugh. I need to laugh. I need you to be able to stay at the rhythm of my banter because that's what turns me on when we're flirting and I, send the volley your way. If you send it back, ooh, I'm gonna send it back and back and back and back and back.
right.
That's what I need. I'm very excitable on conversation. That's what I require.
Do you find that A, you're 6 feet tall and stunning, and B, you probably have a lot more sexual experience than most people, men and women, that you intimidate them just in general when you meet them?
Yeah, I definitely intimidate people, and sometimes I forget that. Sometimes I forget that that is the impact of my first impression or being in my atmosphere. I don't think about it because to me, I'm like, there are so many more people out there with far more profound sexual experience that are far more stunning, whatever that means. You know what I mean? And so I definitely forget that at times. And I also, like most humans on this planet, have some of those moments where I don't feel worthy of intimidating anyone. It's called a bad day. That shit happens. Sometimes you wake up and you're not all that. So yeah, that's it ebbs and flows like every other part of nature. So yeah, I'm aware of it, but sometimes I forget about it.
Assuming you're dating someone and you decide to go all the way, do you ever find someone that maybe has to either try and impress you because they figure like you've done all this stuff that they need to impress you maybe to keep going with you? When you a person that dates
Yeah,
an adult star, they think that because they're
yeah.
a sex worker that they have to do all this crazy stuff.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I've definitely had people fearful that they do need to keep it so unique every time. And so, um, whatever memorable means to them. And that to me is such an unfortunate ambition because you're just missing the point. When you get so focused on the story that you think I'm going to tell my friends, like, you have no idea what happened when he brought that egg beater out, you guys. Like, that's not what I'm looking for in life, nor is that necessarily a conjurer of more explosive pleasure every time.
No.
I just want that intensity I'm talking about, even if it's a romantic, lovesick intensity, or if it is an aggression and we have this wrestling match in the bedroom. That's all I ask.
At this point in your life, you've got so much going on. Do you even have time for a serious relationship?
Yeah, At this point in my life, I would keep it enormously private. I find that that's always been a key to being fair to the relationship. But yeah, I do have time for it. Shockingly, I have a little bit of time for it, and it is something that I would like to see happen. So, working away on it.
Uh, we're fairly new in 2023. Do you have any big plans for the year? Any goals, hopes, expectations?
2023. Well, season 2 of Red Umbrella Talk will be in production any minute now. I'm kind of finalizing that. I have a number of smaller New York events that are going to be happening here with the Museum of Sex. So, as long as you follow me on social media, I will let you know. It's a lot of speaking events with industry experts that will be both live and taped for viewing after the fact. But I'm really looking forward to, I guess, just seeing creatively what I can do this year. I want to get back to doing some more writing. I want to challenge myself with new artistic ambition, like
Hmm.
maybe shoot a really weird kind of, fantasy scene. I don't know. I'm letting it ride so far.
Your friends you grew up with and everybody, your family, everybody knows what you do. They're cool with it. They're whatever they are, I guess.
Everyone knows what I do. Everyone knows what I do, and yeah, I've been met with the silent treatment. I've been met with I don't want to know about it. I don't want to. I've been avoided being asked at family gatherings. Everyone else is
Right.
updating the family on how life and
Right.
work is, and it never comes around to me. But that's okay. I'm very lucky to be embraced by them in every other way, and I know that it's a long game. I know that it is something that perhaps they're working on getting used to, or they're working on coming to terms with. And that's not a process that I can rush. I'm
Right.
happy that the time that we spend together is is beautiful in every other way. So what? I don't get to tell them about, the thing I shot in Los Angeles in the middle. So what?
And have you seen anybody or somebody hit you up on social media? People bragging that they banged you before you were this famous newscaster and everything?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm waiting for that one. Come out of the woodwork, I dare you. Tell everyone how fucking great it was, 'cause you know it was.
And is there any one specific part of this that really surprises you? Because I mean, you covered all the everything
Yeah.
for you
Um,
specifically. Producing, directing, being on camera, being off camera, being naked. I don't know.
yeah, for me, I'm really in awe of this community. I'm in awe of the strength, the sisterhood, the humanity, the brotherhood. I'm just really in awe of how much of a tight woven network there is of individuals that are sex positive and are celebratory of sexuality. And I am so grateful to be a part of it because, even if I wasn't earning a living this way, it would still be my life. It would be my lifestyle. And to not have them in my life would make all of this a much lonelier place. And so to know about these people that also speak with the passion and have the life experience that I do, and ones that have much more than me that I get to learn from and
Yeah.
talk to and learn about. I'm very grateful that I'm alive at this time.